32nd time is speculative.
She got it in.
Don't you just love a good storyteller? I remember Peter Ustinov. Most of you don't know who that is. A few do. Every time he was on Johnny Carson, I was enthralled. I was just eating up his stories because there was a magic charm to him. And I had a natural, well, there's no such thing as a natural born storyteller. Natural born, you be born telling stories, and people are born not even be able to speak. So it is something that's learned or improved upon over time. My grandfather, Pops, was a wonderful storyteller. And he convinced me that the little rug in the den was a magic carpet. He convinced me of that, and I sat cross-legged and crossed arms on that little carpet, and I shoved the table away from it, and I got on it, and I thought of every crazy magic word I had ever heard of, from Shazam to bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. And I started making up words, and none of it worked, and finally it got to be bedtime, and I put the table back. And the following day, I moved the table off that rug, and I sat on it again. It was a real old Persian rug. My grandfather was from Turkey. Looked like a magic carpet. And I tried and tried and tried, and suddenly I got scared. Because I thought, what if I do it? What if I make it fly? And I hit my head on the ceiling, and there are no open windows, and I won't know how to stop it, and I gave up. But he convinced me that this silly rug was a flying carpet. And I was already 13. It's not like I was 6. He was convincing, and he had magic. Then there was this guy I knew in college, Ronan Hogue. And he would go see a play or a movie, and he'd come back, and we'd be sitting around in his apartment. It was the gathering place for the theater crowd. And he would tell us the story of the movie. And we would sit for almost as long as the movie took while he described what they were wearing and what the scenery was like, and the feelings of the people there, and he'd remember some of the exact lines, and he kept us mesmerized. We all want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. We would love to do that. And we have a manual, a storytelling manual, that gives 5 assignments. Tell a folk tale. Let's get personal, tell a personal story. The moral of the story, tell a story that has a moral. The touching story, and that's a heartbreaker or something like that. And bringing history to life, and you can talk about Abraham Lincoln or anybody. And those are good, and they help. And I'm trying to think what helped those great storytellers. Peter Ustinov spent a lot of time in theater, and it trains you to know to go, I'm angry, instead of, I'm angry. The timing makes a difference. Mm-hmm. My grandfather grew up in a country where most people could not read and write. He was a scribe, but that's another story. If you can't read and write, you have to explain things verbally, and I think almost everybody in his family who came from the old country was really a good speaker, because that's what they did. Who else is a great speaker? There was theater again. So I think theater helps to be a good storyteller. But I don't think any of these lessons give you the secret of being really good. You know what it is? It's heart. It's loving something about what you're saying. You love the story. I loved my grandfather. Peter Ustinov loved an audience. There has to be love and heart and caring in that story. Or you're not a storyteller, you're a talker. You can read a story to a kid and they fall asleep. But when I read a certain story to my grandsons, they laughed their heads off and they wanted to get involved in telling the story. You've got to be involved in what you're saying. I love great storytellers. I remember Peter Ustinov, and I have forgotten 2,000 or 3,000 guests that Johnny Carson had over the years. I had more than one grandfather, but Pops is the one that my heart went to. I want to be a great storyteller, and I'm just telling you from my heart to yours, you should too, so that you'll be remembered the way Pops is. Madam